I'm a big fan of favorite quotes, so I thought the best way to open this video would be a favorite quote of mine from my all-time favorite author, Robert Fritz. And I quote, "Movement creates direction, and direction creates simplicity." So the way I am utilizing that quote is to move forward the movement in the direction of creating these video chapters to explain the real reason why there has been zero change in America's K-12 public education for the last 20 years, possibly the last 50 years. So for this video, I wanted to share the 4 primary reasons why I'm creating these videos. The first reason I called "Just in Case I Get Hit by a Bus," which means I truly believe that I have solved the riddle as to why and what it's actually going to take to create real change in public education. So real briefly, just in case I get hit by a bus, I better have this information down somewhere where someone like you will be able to access this information. The second reason is that most of my family members don't really understand what I Am Russell Warren Kukla is really all about. So I thought there's no better way than to have this information down so that they can access it as they wish. So for family and friends, and for you, whoever you might be, because I truly believe this information is what's best for you. The third reason is for the eventual, again, that movement to create these videos. I've taken on the responsibility, the time, and the cost to create the individual camera, I speaking to the camera video. The next step is I'm hoping to find someone who can help fund a 2-person interview so that instead of speaking to the camera, I can speak with someone and bring out more of this information. The third part of the videos would be for me to be speaking with a 3-camera and an audience. So an interview type situation and also a audience that I can also engage with and interact with. So that's going to take some funding. I'm okay on the one-on-one funding, but the 2-person with switching and post-production, I'm going to need some help with that. I'm going to need some funding with that. I remember the Billy Crystal from his movie Mr. Saturday Night, where he explains to his brother that the real joy of doing comedy on stage is when that something happens that comes from out of nowhere. So I know this information so well that my hope is that on stage, that with the interaction with an audience, that extra special something, more than once or twice, will be able to come out from all that I know. So that's the eventual goal, is to block it out with the 1 camera, have a better interchange speaking with someone for the 2nd camera, and then the audience, which would be the initial end for the complete video. The 4th goal is for the funding of the writing of the book. Although I'm an excellent speaker and I've taken probably 30 years of my life to perfect my speaking, getting it to come down through the tip of that pen, I cannot afford, and our children and our teachers and America and you cannot afford for me to perfect the writing. So I already have a publisher lined up. I had called a publisher and I had gotten through administrative people, his admin, to speak directly to the publisher, the CEO of the publishing company. After our initial conversation, he said, "Russell, I've never had anybody," I can't remember how many years he said, I thought he said 30 years, ever call and speak directly with me. He told me right out that he has a monthly payroll of over $850,000. That's the number of people, the payroll that he has per month that he's responsible for. He also shared with me that on average they only accept 3% of the transcripts of the possible books to actually be written. And he also mentioned to me that if I'm able to get this information onto video, that it would be a, quote, ghost writer's dream to then help me to write the book. So my goal is to create, again, the movement creates direction, and direction creates simplicity. So I'm hoping that the movement with the videos will create the simplicity, that the information can now be known, and I know that exactly what information I have down on the videos can now be brought to a book form. And for the videos and for the book funding, an average book funding for a ghostwriter is between $30,000 and $50,000. The videos for the 2-person interview and the audience, the 3 or 4 camera shoot with post-production, could be between $30,000 and $50,000. So I'm looking for that help from those who are willing to help. And that's the purpose of this video. So to get to the final quote, and I'm not sure who this quote is from, but it ties into my initial quote from the beginning, actually of the school bus, which is, "The clock of life is wound but once, and no man has a power to tell just when the hands will stop, at late or early hour. Now is the only time you own. Live, love, toil with a will. Place no faith in time, for the clock will soon be still." So the article from the Arizona Republic, Wednesday, January 23rd, 2013. 16,400 billion in debt. In red. This is on the front page of the Arizona Republic. Next to that, some lost jobs won't come back. To the other side, how we got there. Well, how we got there, 16,400 billion in debt and counting, how we got there is incorrect education in our public schools for the last 20, possibly 50 years or more. How we're going to get out of there is to start at the foundation of correcting the foundation for K-12 public education. So just in case that school bus is right around the corner, I'll go back to the original positive quote. Movement creates direction, and direction creates simplicity. Let's see if it works. I'll be creating the videos just for you.